The sky above Carthos was always red, not the soft red of a sunset, but a burning, suffocating crimson that never faded. Storms of ash drifted through the air like slow-falling snow, coating the jagged cities in gray dust. The people no longer looked up. There was nothing left worth seeing. Only waiting for the next tribute. The great obsidian gates stood open. Beyond them stretched the Valley of Silence, a wasteland of blackened stone, molten fissures, and the scattered remains of countless offerings. Bones, armor, melted machinery, all swallowed by time and fire. And somewhere deep within that valley, it waited. Verathus, the devourer. They say it used to sleep for decades. One of the elders whispered. Another shook his head. Now it wakes every cycle. Because we keep feeding it. A third muttered. Silence followed. No one argued, because no one dared suggest stopping. At the center of the sacrificial platform stood a child. Small, thin, alone. He didn't belong to Carthos. His clothes were torn, marked with symbols no one here could read. His skin, softer, lighter, marked him as an outsider. A human. He had been found drifting in a broken escape pod weeks ago. No ship, no crew, no records. No one came looking for him. So the council chose him, because it was easier that way. A tall Carthosian guard approached him slowly, armor clinking with each step. The guard's helmet was tucked under his arm, revealing a face worn by years of fear and guilt. He knelt down. "What is your name?" he asked gently. The boy tilted his head. "I don't remember." The guard swallowed hard. Of course he didn't. "Do you understand why you're here?" the guard asked. The boy looked past him, toward the valley. "Because of the dragon?" The guard hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." The boy was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Does it eat everyone?" The guard closed his eyes. "Yes." Another pause. "Will it hurt?" The question hit harder than any weapon. The guard's voice faltered. It will be quick." That was a lie. Everyone knew it was a lie. The boy seemed to think about that. Then, with a small shrug, he said, "Okay." The guard's hands trembled. "You don't have to be brave," he whispered. The boy blinked. "I'm not brave," he said simply. "I'm just here." The words lingered in the air. Heavy, uncomfortable, honest. A deep horn sounded from the walls above. The signal. It was time. The crowd stepped back. No one spoke. No one cried. Grief had been burned out of them long ago, replaced with something colder, something hollow. Survival. The gates groaned as they began to close behind the boy. Massive slabs of black stone grinding together like the jaws of some ancient beast. The guard stood frozen, watching. "Wait," he almost said. But he didn't. He couldn't. The gates slammed shut. And just like that, the child was alone. The valley stretched endlessly before him. The ground was cracked and uneven, glowing faintly where heat seeped through from below. The air shimmered, thick with ash and something else, something older, something watching. The boy took a step forward, then another. His small footprints pressed into the gray dust. No screams, no panic, just quiet curiosity. Far above, in orbit, the council observed. Massive screens displayed the valley from multiple angles. Thermal readings, motion sensors, biosigns. All of it pointed to one inevitable outcome. "How long?" one of them asked. "Less than a minute," another replied. "That's generous." They had seen this countless times. Different victims. Same ending. The ground trembled. At first, it was subtle. A low vibration beneath the surface. Then, a deep, resonating growl rolled across the valley. Not heard with the ears. Felt in the bones. The boy stopped walking. He looked around. "Hello," he called out. The answer came as fire. A massive fissure split open ahead of him. Molten light pouring from within. Heat surged outward in waves, bending the air itself. And then, it rose. Verathus. The dragon's body unfolded like a living mountain. Black scales, jagged and scarred, reflected the molten glow beneath it. Its wings stretched outward, vast enough to eclipse the sky. Each movement shook the ground. Each breath scorched the air. Two enormous eyes ignited in the darkness. Burning gold. Ancient. Hungry. The council leaned forward. "There it is. End it." Verathus lowered its head slowly. Its gaze locked onto the tiny figure standing before it. The boy didn't run, didn't scream, didn't even step back. Instead, he looked up. The dragon exhaled. A wave of heat blasted forward, strong enough to reduce stone to ash. The boy's clothes fluttered violently, but he remained standing. Varathis paused. Its massive eye narrowed. Something was wrong. This was not how it went. The offerings always broke. They cried. They begged. They ran. This one did nothing. The boy squinted up at the dragon, raising a hand to shield his eyes from the light. "Wow," he said softly. The word echoed in the silence. The dragon leaned closer, closer, close enough that a single snap of its jaws would end everything. Still, the boy didn't move. And then, he lifted his hand and waved. Silence, total and absolute. Up in orbit, the council froze. What is he doing? The dragon did not strike, did not roar, did not devour. Instead, it stopped. For the first time in centuries, Varathis hesitated. The boy smiled faintly. "Hi." The dragon's eye flickered. Ancient thoughts stirred. Memories long buried clawed their way to the surface. And then, in a voice like shifting mountains and distant thunder, it spoke. "You are not afraid." Across the planet, across orbit, across every watching eye, everything changed. Silence swallowed the valley. Even the ever-present wind of ash seemed to halt, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The dragon had spoken. High above Carthos, alarms began to flicker across the council chamber. "Audio confirmation. Did you record that?" One overseer barked. "We have it." Another replied, voice trembling. The entity produced structured language. "That's impossible." A third snapped. "It has never communicated." A quieter voice answered from the back. Maybe it never had a reason to. Down below, the boy blinked. He tilted his head slightly, studying the massive creature before him. Not with fear, but with curiosity. "You can talk?" he asked. Varathis did not respond immediately. Its immense eye narrowed, focusing, analyzing. "I have always spoken," the dragon rumbled. "Your kind simply never listened." The boy frowned, thinking. Oh, that seemed like a reasonable answer to him. Heat radiated from the dragon's body, rippling through the cracked ground. Any other being would have been reduced to ash by now. But the boy stood firm, squinting slightly against the glow. "What's your name?" he asked. A long pause followed, as if the question itself reached into something ancient, something forgotten. "I am Varathis." The name echoed like thunder rolling through the valley. The boy hesitated. "I don't remember mine." For a moment, the dragon said nothing, but something shifted in its gaze. A flicker. Not hunger, not anger, something else. "You do not remember," Varathis repeated slowly. The boy shook his head. "I woke up in a broken ship. Then they found me." He gestured vaguely toward the sealed gates behind him. "And then, I came here." The dragon's pupils contracted. Its gaze sharpened. "Human." The word came out differently this time. Heavier. Recognized. The boy smiled faintly. "Yeah, I think so." A deep rumble built in Varathis's chest. Not a growl, not quite. Memory. Across the dragon's mind, fragments surfaced. Burning stars. Shattered fleets. Worlds consumed by something far worse than hunger. And among it all, small figures. Fragile bodies. Short-lived, but unbreakable. Humans. "No," Varathis murmured, voice quieter now. "Not just human." The boy blinked. "What does that mean?" The dragon leaned closer, its massive head lowering until one enormous eye filled the boy's entire world. "Your kind once stood where others fled." A pause. "You faced the first fire and endured." The boy scratched his head. "I don't remember that either." Up in orbit, the council erupted into chaos. Translate that phrase. First fire. What does it mean? "We don't know." Cross-reference ancient archives now. But the data made no sense. There were no records of humans doing anything significant. They were drifters, traders, survivors at best. Not whatever this was. Back in the valley, Varathis studied the boy in silence. Something didn't add up. Humans were rare, but not unheard of. Yet this one felt different. The dragon inhaled slowly, and for the first time in centuries, it did not smell fear. No adrenaline, no panic, no desperation, only calm. "Why do you not fear me?" Varathas asked. The boy thought about it seriously, then shrugged. "You haven't hurt me." The answer hit harder than any weapon. The dragon's gaze shifted slightly. "All who come here are meant to die." "I know," the boy said, "and yet you do not run." The boy looked around the vast, empty valley. "Where would I go?" Another simple answer. Another impossible one. Something ancient stirred inside Varathas. A realization. A memory. Not of fear, but of choice. Long ago, there had been beings who stood before dragons not as prey, but as allies. The dragon's massive form shifted, lowering itself further until its head rested against the scorched ground. The earth cracked beneath its weight. High above, the council stared in disbelief. What is it doing? Is it submitting? No, that's not submission. Then what is it? Down below. The boy stepped closer without hesitation. He reached out and placed a small hand against the dragon's scale. It was warm, not burning, alive. Varathas did not move. The contact sent a shock through its ancient mind. Not pain, not threat, recognition. "It has been a very long time," the dragon said quietly. The boy smiled. "You're kinda lonely, huh?" The words echoed softly, and for the first time in centuries, Varathas did not feel like a god, or a weapon, or a monster. Just old. The dragon lifted its head slightly, then spoke. "You will not be consumed." The air seemed to shatter. Up in orbit. What? Did it just? Repeat that audio. "You will not be consumed," Varathas repeated. The boy blinked. "Oh, okay." No shock, no celebration, just acceptance. The dragon studied him for a moment longer. Then, slowly, it lowered its head all the way to the ground. "Climb." The word carried weight. Not a suggestion, an invitation. The boy hesitated this time. "Why?" A long pause followed. Then, in a voice that carried the weight of forgotten wars and dying stars, Varathas answered, "Because I remember what your kind truly is." The boy looked at the massive dragon, then at the endless valley behind him. There was nothing there for him, nothing waiting. So carefully, he reached up, finding small ridges between the dragon's scales, and began to climb. Above them, the council watched in stunned silence. No one spoke. No one understood. Because for the first time in recorded history, the offering was not devoured. It was chosen, and far beyond Carthos. Something ancient stirred. The moment the boy pulled himself onto Varathas's head, the world changed. For centuries, the dragon had remained bound to the valley. A silent tyrant, a force of destruction that never strayed beyond its scorched domain. But now, it moved. Varathas rose. The ground cracked beneath its weight. Molten seams splitting open as ancient power surged through its massive frame. Ash blasted outward in a violent storm, spiraling into the sky. The boy clung tightly to a ridge of black scales, his small fingers gripping as the dragon unfolded its wings. They stretched wide, wider, until they eclipsed the crimson sky itself. High above, the council scrambled. Energy readings are spiking. That's not just movement, it's a surge. Shields up. Raise orbital shields now. Too late. With a single, thunderous motion, Varathas leapt. The valley shattered beneath the force. A shock wave tore across the land, flattening ancient structures and sending plumes of ash miles into the air. And then, the dragon took flight. The sky screamed. Wings beat once, twice, each motion sending hurricane-force winds tearing across Carthos. The clouds split apart as Varathas ascended, rising higher and higher until the planet itself seemed to fall away beneath them. The boy laughed. It wasn't forced, wasn't nervous. It was pure, unfiltered joy. "This is amazing," he shouted, his voice nearly lost in the roaring wind. Varathas did not respond, but something deep within its ancient core shifted. For so long, it had been still, dormant, waiting. Now, it was awake. As they broke through the upper atmosphere, the sky darkened into the vast black of space. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, cold and distant. The boy gasped. Whoa! Below them, Carthos glowed faintly, a dying ember in an endless void. Above them, everything else. Where are we going? The boy asked, tightening his grip as the dragon's wings folded slightly, adjusting to the vacuum. Varathus's voice echoed, not through air, but directly into the boy's mind. Home. The word carried weight. Not a place. A purpose. Back in orbit, panic had fully set in. Track it. We're losing visual. No, wait there. It's leaving the planet. One of the elders stepped forward slowly, staring at the data. No, not leaving. He swallowed. It's returning. Far beyond Carthos, in the empty dark between systems, something pulsed. A signal. Ancient. Dormant. Waiting. As Varathus flew, invisible waves of energy rippled outward from its body, spreading faster than light, piercing the void, across dead space, through forgotten systems, into places no one remembered existed. The signal reached them, and they woke. Deep beneath the surface of a shattered moon, buried under miles of ice and stone, something shifted. Lights flickered. Systems, long dead, crackled back to life. A massive structure, shaped like a coiled beast, began to hum with power. Elsewhere, in the hollow core of a drifting asteroid field, metallic shapes detached from the darkness. Silent, dormant no longer. Across the galaxy, hidden relics activated. Ancient constructs, lost fleets, weapons and guardians left behind by a civilization erased from history, all responding to a single call. On Varathus's head, the boy shivered slightly. Did you feel that? The dragon's voice rumbled through his mind. They are waking. Who? A pause. Others like me. The boy's eyes widened. More dragons. A faint echo of something, almost like amusement. Not all wear this form. The stars ahead seemed to shift. No, not shift. Open. A massive structure emerged from the darkness. At first, it looked like a cluster of broken debris, but as they approached, its true scale became clear. It was enormous, larger than a city, shaped like interlocking rings, each one etched with symbols that glowed faintly as Varathus drew near. Whoa, the boy whispered. The structure pulsed, responding, recognizing. Back on Carthos, the council stared at the incoming data feed. What is that? We're picking up multiple signals. No, hundreds, across the sector. All of them are activating. The room fell silent. One of the elders spoke, voice barely above a whisper. We didn't feed a monster. Another finished the thought, horror creeping into his tone. We woke one. Varathus slowed as it approached the massive structure. The glowing symbols intensified, lines of energy racing across its surface, like veins coming alive. The dragon extended its wings slightly, hovering before the construct. The boy looked around wide-eyed. Is this your home? A long pause. Then, no. The structure shifted. Massive segments rotating, unlocking, revealing something hidden within. Something vast. Something powerful. This is a beacon. The rings split apart. Light burst from within. And in that light, shapes moved. Not one. Not a few. Thousands. The boy's breath caught. Those are ships. Varathus's voice deepened. No. A pause. They are guardians. The light surged outward, flooding the darkness. And across the galaxy, the awakening had begun, because the truth was finally rising to the surface. Varathus was never meant to rule Carthos, never meant to devour, never meant to sleep. It had been waiting, waiting for a signal, waiting for a key, waiting for the boy. And now, the war that ended civilizations was about to begin again. The light from the beacon spread like a second dawn across the void. Ships, no guardians, emerged from the radiance in perfect silence. Their forms were unlike anything the current galaxy had ever built. Some resembled dragons of metal and fire, others shifting geometries of living alloy, their surfaces flowing like liquid starlight. They did not drift. They waited. Varathus hovered before them, vast wings stretched wide, as if greeting something long lost. On its head, the boy stared in awe. There's so many. The guardians began to move. Not chaotically, not randomly, Precisely. They formed patterns, rings within rings, spirals within spirals, each movement synchronized as if guided by a single will. A pulse echoed through the structure. Deep, ancient. The boy felt it in his chest, like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. "What is this place?" he whispered. Virathis answered, its voice quieter than before, but heavier. "This is where the last war ended." The words carried something more than memory. They carried regret. Far away, across Carthos and beyond, panic spread. Civilizations that had never even heard of dragons began detecting impossible signals. Ancient frequencies long dismissed as cosmic noise suddenly aligned into clear patterns. Multiple energy signatures across 12 sectors. "They're not hostile. No, wait, unknown intent." Who activated them? The answer came from a single, trembling voice inside the council chamber. The child. Back at the beacon, the light intensified. One of the guardians broke formation and drifted closer. It was enormous, sleek, angular, its surface etched with glowing lines that pulsed like veins. As it approached, the boy felt something strange. A voice. Not spoken, not heard. Felt. Identification confirmed. The boy stiffened. "Did you hear that?" Virathis did not answer, but its wings shifted slightly. The guardian moved closer still. Its glowing lines brightened, scanning, analyzing. Genetic lineage detected. Authorization incomplete. The boy frowned. "I don't understand." The voice paused. Then, human designation recognized. The entire formation reacted. Thousands of guardians shifted simultaneously, their glowing patterns intensifying. The beacon pulsed. Once, twice. Then, it changed. The rings surrounding the beacon began to rotate faster, unlocking deeper layers hidden beneath their surface. Massive structures unfolded outward, revealing weapons, ancient, powerful, and terrifying in their scale. Energy surged through the network. Across the galaxy, dormant stations came online. Long-abandoned fleets reignited. Hidden weapons, buried beneath planets, inside stars, within the void itself, began to stir. The boy grabbed onto a scale as the energy intensified. "What's happening?" Virathis's voice answered slowly. "The system is preparing." "For what?" A long silence. Then, "For war." The boy's expression shifted. Not fear, not confusion, concern. "War against who?" Virathis didn't answer immediately. Instead, it lowered its head slightly, as if burdened by the weight of what it was about to say. Then, "Against what comes when everything else ends." Images flooded the boy's mind. Not memories of his own, but echoes, fragments, stars collapsing into darkness, entire fleets consumed by something shapeless, worlds falling silent, not destroyed, but emptied. And through it all, a presence, endless, hungry. The boy gasped, gripping tighter. What was that? The void hunger. The name alone seemed to distort the space around them. Back in orbit, scientists scrambled. Unknown signal spike. This isn't just activation, it's coordination. Coordination for what? Then the data shifted. A projection appeared across their systems. Not from their tech. From the beacon. A map. The galaxy. And spreading across it. Darkness. "They're marking something," one scientist whispered. Another leaned forward, voice shaking. "No, they're tracking it." Back at the beacon, the boy stared out at the Guardians. "They're going to fight that thing." "They were built to." "Then why didn't they before?" Virathis went still. For a long moment, it said nothing. Then, "Because we failed." The words hit harder than anything before. "We?" the boy asked quietly. The dragon's voice softened. "Long ago, there was an alliance." The Guardians shifted again, their light dimming slightly, as if listening. "Dragons and humans." The boy blinked. "Humans. Your kind." Images surfaced again, this time clearer. Humans standing beside beings like Virathis. Not as prey, not as sacrifices, as equals. Small figures commanding fleets, making decisions, holding lines where others fled. "They helped," the boy whispered. "They led." Silence followed. The boy looked down at his hands. Small, shaking slightly. "I don't remember any of that." "You would not." The dragon's gaze softened. Time has erased much. The beacon pulsed again. Louder. Stronger. The Guardians shifted into new formations, defensive lines, attack vectors, strategies unfolding in real time. The war was coming, whether the galaxy understood it or not. The boy looked up at the endless fleet, then at the darkness creeping across the map. In his mind, will people get hurt? The question was small, simple, but it cut through everything. Virathis paused, then answered truthfully. Yes. The boy nodded slowly, then said something that changed everything again. Then we should stop it. No hesitation, no doubt, just a decision. The Guardians reacted. Light surged across their surfaces. The beacon roared to life. And for the first time in millions of years, the system had its answer. Not just a human who chose to stand. And far beyond the edges of the galaxy, something ancient turned its attention back toward the light. Because humanity had returned, and the war was no longer avoidable. The galaxy had been quiet for too long, not peaceful, just unaware. That illusion shattered the moment the first Guardian fleet moved. From the beacon, waves of light surged outward as thousands of ancient constructs accelerated into the void. They did not roar. They did not announce themselves. They simply went. Across systems, civilizations watched in stunned silence as objects older than their histories passed through their space. Untouchable, unstoppable. Unknown fleets entering sector. They're not responding to hails. Are they hostile? No answer came, because the question didn't matter. This war had nothing to do with them. At the center of it all, Virathis soared. The boy sat atop the dragon's head, clutching the ridged scales as stars streaked past them. Around them, Guardians moved in perfect synchronization, forming a vast formation that stretched beyond sight. It should have been terrifying, but the boy wasn't afraid. He was thinking. They're all listening to you, he said. Not to me. Virathis's voice echoed through his mind. Then who? A pause. To you. The boy blinked. Me. The dragon's wings shifted as they adjusted course, angling toward a distant point, where the stars themselves seemed to dim. The system responds to human command authority. I don't know how to command anything. You already have. The boy frowned. Then he remembered. Then we should stop it. The moment he had said it, everything had changed. Ahead of them, the darkness grew. At first, it looked like empty space. Then, like a shadow. Then, like something that should not exist at all. The stars disappeared. Not hidden. Not blocked. Gone. The boy's breath caught. What is that? Virathis's voice was quieter now. The void hunger. It wasn't a creature. Not in any way the boy understood. It had no clear shape. No defined form. Just an endless, shifting mass of darkness that consumed everything it touched. Light bent into it. Matter unraveled near it. Even space itself seemed to distort, as if trying to escape. And it was moving. Toward them. Across the Guardian fleet. Formations shifted instantly. Lines tightened. Energy built. Weapons older than entire civilizations powered on. The war had begun. The boy gripped the dragon's scales tighter. Can we stop it? Virathis did not answer immediately, because the truth was heavy. Ancient. We can try. The first wave of Guardians fired. Beams of pure energy lanced across the void, striking the edge of the darkness. For a moment, it held. Then, the darkness moved, and the beams vanished, swallowed, like they had never existed. The fleet adjusted instantly. New weapons activated. Different frequencies. Different patterns. But the result was the same. Consumed. Erased. It's not working, the boy shouted. The Guardians did not stop. They did not panic. They adapted. Again. And again. And again. But the void hunger kept coming. Unchanged. Virathis surged forward, breaking from the formation. Wait, the boy yelled. What are you doing? What I was created to do. The dragon's body ignited. Not with fire, but with something far brighter. Ancient energy surged across its scales. Glowing symbols flaring to life, like stars reborn. The boy felt it again. That pulse. That connection. The Guardians reacted. Their formations shifted. Not into attack lines, but into support. They began channeling energy. Not at the enemy. into Varathas. What's happening? The boy shouted. The final protocol. The dragon accelerated. Faster. Closer. The darkness loomed ahead, vast and endless. It cannot be destroyed, Varathas said. The boy's heart sank. Then how do we stop it? A pause. Then, the same way we did before. The boy's mind flooded with images again. Not war. Not destruction. Sacrifice. Humans standing where the darkness reached, holding something back, not with weapons, but with themselves. The boy's hands trembled. I don't understand. Varathas's voice softened. You are the key. The dragon slowed slightly, not stopping, but giving him a moment, a choice. The boy looked at the endless darkness ahead, then at the fleet behind him, then down at his small hands. I'm just me. A gentle rumble answered him. That has always been enough. Silence. Then, the boy took a deep breath. Okay. The moment he said it, everything aligned. The Guardians surged with light. The beacon pulsed across the galaxy. Ancient systems synchronized. And Varathas roared. Not in rage, but in defiance. As the dragon plunged into the darkness, the boy held on, eyes open, unafraid, and across the galaxy. Every civilization watched. As a child, a single forgotten child, did what entire empires could not. The light exploded. And then, silence. For a long time, there was nothing. No signal, no movement, no sign of the fleet. Until a single pulse echoed through the void. Soft, steady, like a heartbeat. Back on Carthos, the council stood frozen. Is it over? One whispered. Far beyond them, a faint light flickered in the darkness. Small, but still there. And somewhere within it, something new had been born. They had sacrificed a child. But what the galaxy received in return was something far greater. Not a victim, not a hero, a beginning.